All right. Yeah, I think Ruth is going to do the summary today. Is that correct? Uh-oh, we can't hear you. Oh no, we can't.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm taking the headphones out. It's going to be a little bit of craziness because I have kids coming home from school.
No worries.
Okay. So I've got the summary. I've got it all, like the stuff ready to go. So we can go ahead and start talking.
Awesome. All right. What does everybody think about the reading for this week?
So this week was all about validity, right? Like research validity.
Yeah. I felt it was like a shorter chapter, and I was super excited.
It was just kind of like a more in-depth, like shorter but more in-depth chapter on validity than last week. Like last week we got like some tidbits. This week it like got a little bit deeper.
That's a good description.
I think naturally for me, it's something that I question when I hear studies already. And so it was kind of interesting to me because I automatically think like, oh, but really, like, are those people really fit to be in the experiment, or questions like that. I always think of like flaws that could be in the experiment, and so yeah, it was just like different terms to like label all of my questions, I guess.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I thought it was interesting how many threats were listed for validity, and I just was like, wow, there's so many. How do they ever make anything valid?
Yeah.
Because there's so much they have to like think about and go over and make sure, and some of the stuff I didn't even like imagine could be part of it, but it was just really interesting.
Yeah, kind of the whole attitude of the experimenter and how that can kind of like tie into the experiment and how that may influence the participants.
Yeah, that was interesting. And then also in reverse, like it has the participants' perceptions and how that can play a role, and how, they want to put their best face forward and, don't want to misrepresent themselves, but they end up doing it because they want everybody to think highly of them, I guess. I don't know. That was really interesting.
Yeah, I just think that, just questioning the validity of things and whether participants are being truthful and honest in their answers. There's no way to validate that. So, I don't know. It was just kind of funny to read all about the different takes on validity. And I can't give you anything specific because I'm in the car.
No, that's good. We're glad you're here.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course.
I like what Liza said. I think that when we question the validity of a study, it really does give more accreditation to the study. When you don't question that validity and take it at face value, I think that's not a good thing.
I agree, and it plays a part in critical thinking. It's like there's so many things that we experience in life that we can come across that are we taking it at face value, or are we really looking into it? Like advertisements or claims that are made in the world and stuff. Are we taking the time to see if they're valid or credible, like you're saying. But I don't know if I would go to the extent of what researchers have to go through. It's too bad they don't have like a more basic.
I'm just seeing here. Tammy, are you in the hospital? From where I'm looking, it kind of looks like it. So I just went, oh, did I miss something? Hi, sweetheart.
Yeah, she's in the hospital.
I'm in the waiting. Yeah, my husband's here. He had surgery yesterday, so that's why I muted my mic. It's people are in and out and talking, and so yeah.
I guess it's kind of funny.
Yeah. So when it quiets down, I'll turn my mic back on.
This will be the last.
Yeah, I guess some personal application. So in high school and just in my life, I don't know, I've enjoyed running, and well, especially in high school was when I would race. Now I just do like 5K sometimes and try to get good times, but it's kind of like a science experiment in a way, because you try to eliminate what we would call like those extraneous, I think it is, extraneous variables. And so we would try to, well, either eliminate or make those extraneous values profitable for us as runners. And so it would be like the amount of sleep we would get the night before a race, or how much water we would be drinking, or if we would eat like spaghetti, you know, like a bunch of carbs and all that. And so I guess just naturally, like after a race, be like, man, that was a bad race. Like, can I think of anything that affected that race? And can I, you know, change up that variable a bit so then I can have a better race next time? And so I think a lot of times we do things naturally on a day-to-day basis, even maybe in parenting and just living, even, I don't know. Anyway, I think there's some personal application we can definitely do when we're trying to get valid results.
I like your personal application. That's really good. I had never considered.
That's why it's hard. It's you need to really be careful not to go into an experiment having like really wanting your values or your ideas or perceptions to come across, because you need to really have a word, but you just really need to make sure it's done the right way and not in a way that you want it to be done to have the results that you want. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But did you guys understand the graph or the picture, the 6.2? They talked a lot about it, but it just seemed really, it's on page 179.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you guys about that and see what you guys thought about that, because I had a hard time following what they were saying along with this table that they had.
It's on page 179.
Yeah.
Yeah, the table figure 6.2. It's
It's on page 179.
It's talking about the history and how it affects the two groups.
Like,
Well, I think I have a different book than you guys. Page 179, right?
yeah.
Maybe you have a
I
different
just have Word.
edition. Maybe you have a different edition. I think you have a different edition, possibly.
Oh yeah, hers is this one.
Oh,
So have you been reading the same stuff as us?
I hope so.
You might have the new and improved stuff.
We have the 11th edition. Which one's yours?
12th edition.
Wow. Oh.
Whoa.
Maybe it might be on a different page, but it's talking about
It's this one right here,
Oh, got it.
where it goes through,
Like history.
yeah, demonstration of the history effect. I guess that's where, I mean, I get what history is, like, that's in between the time that you start the test and then the time that you end it. Is that right?
Well, I think it's talking about a historical event, so something that happens during the course of in the study. So something happens externally outside the study. So if you look at the second portion or the last portion here, like it shows a little bit here, like a historical event occurs with the treatment group. The historical event that occurs is that there's a food stamp program and a treatment on the WIC program. And so those in the treatment program were eligible for that. So that's part of one of the historical events. But the control group was found ineligible to participate in that food stamp program. So that would be kind of like an external or an extraneous, I can't even say it, variable that takes place that affects one group that doesn't affect the other. And sometimes that historical event will affect both. And so I don't think it's not as, I don't know that it's as much of a concern unless the historical event is adding something that you're not testing for. Does that make sense? So I think that when it's talking about like history, it's talking about those studies that may take an extended period of time, and that something may happen in between that time that then may shift the results of your study.
Very well said. Good job, Ruth. I was like, I don't know how to describe it, but you nailed it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I immediately thought about the historical event literally of like 9/11. And it's like if scientists were already doing like stress and anxiety experiments with these participants or something, and then that happens, it's like that's really going to impact their results. And so it's not going to be as valid as, doing it somewhere else because history had an impact.
That is a great point.
I love that example.
It's so interesting to see how much this stuff can apply to like real life.
Right.
And yeah. One of the things that stood out to me when I was reading was when I was talking about the external validity. And it made me think about when I work with kids with autism and things, because it talks about how the external validity is the ability to generalize across people, time, settings, treatments, and outcomes. And when I work with kids with autism, what we do is we try to basically work with them in a setting that is almost like a laboratory, so to speak, where it's a restrictive environment where we are essentially controlling all the different variables around them, and we're trying to isolate this one target skill that they can use. And we teach it over and over in the same way until they are able to master the response of how, like, if they were trying to learn what an object is, what we would do is we would name the object. Like there's maybe like 3 in the field three objects, and we say ball, and they find the ball. And so it's helping develop their vocabulary receptively. And then what we do is we expand it to different types of balls, so they can identify that, this ball is a ball, but anything like all these other balls are balls. And so we would generalize across different materials, and then we would also across people would be different trainers. And then in regards to time, it could be at any time of session, and if across settings could be at home or outside or on the playground or at the park, so they can understand in all those different situations that is still the ball. And so that type of treatment that they receive, if they're able to generalize it, we have seen that it has been successful. And so I just found it really quite interesting how, I do a lot of this different stuff in my job, even if it's on a very small micro level.
Now, I love that you're able to take these things and apply, see them as they're happening. Because I'm listening to all that, and I'm looking for notes and stuff, and trying to kind of keep the things in my mind as you're explaining them, and to kind of create the picture. Understanding that if I had not read this chapter, I wouldn't have been able to keep up with anything that you were saying. I'd just be listening and trying to internalize some of what you're saying and place it somewhere. But now, having read the chapter, it puts everything that you said into context of what we're studying on validity.
Thank you.
Well, I think it helps to personalize it to better understand it too. Because once you do that, then you remember it.
That's true.
Anybody else have any questions or things they didn't understand from the reading this week? I think the history was the only thing really for me. Do you think we're going to have to know all the threats to construct validity?
I wondered about that. There's a lot of them.
Yeah. Not even just know them, but know what each one is about.
To me, it seems like if you really wanted us to know what all of them are about, there would be a separate chapter on construct validity.
Yeah.
Although you do have some of the ones you have that experimenter effects in there. Of course, that's the only other one that I see that they kind of expanded on. Participant effect.
For my outline, I just listed all the different threats, and then the page numbers for some of them, but that's it.
Did you guys like that story about the horse? I thought that was hilarious. About the horse who could count. I even told my husband all about it. I'm like, look at this picture. I'm like, look at this story. Anyway, it was funny.
That's awesome.
It's nice that they can include humor, right?
Yeah.
Helps to ease things up a bit.
And a lot of it, as I was reading it, made sense. Like the one on personal positive self-presentation. It's a lot of it just makes sense. We all want to make ourselves, appear to look the best way possible. And so a lot of these, just made sense. They were logical to me.
That's a good observation, because the terms might be scientifically based, but the idea behind it is very logical and common sense, like this.
And I think sometimes in the reading, it's it's written so so smart. I don't know how to say it, but a lot of times I just need it dumbed down. It's okay, what are you just saying? Put it in English. Do you know what I mean? Especially like how Ruth explained, the history concept. It's like, just put it in English so I can understand it.
It's all these words.
I know.
Are any
But
of you
anyway.
guys thinking about doing any of the extra credit?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I feel so overwhelmed with all my classwork that
Yeah.
anything extra, I don't know.
We'll see towards the end of the semester if I need it.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Yeah.
fine with a B if I get a B.
C's get degrees.
That's what I was gonna say. You told me that.
Right.
I have a friend. She came over and I was stressing about one of my other classes, and she's like, Ruth, what do you call someone that went to school to become a doctor that got C's? And I'm like, a doctor? And she's like, right? A doctor. She's like, there you go. And I went, oh, okay, I'm just stressing a little too much. So
Yeah.
That's a good perspective, though. Thank you for sharing.
These get serious. I love it. Okay, do we have any concerns other than I don't think we have any concerns.
No.
Does anybody have any ideas on how to connect the material to a spiritual topic?
Well, I guess on a basic level, I would say that, the gospel is truth and how it's something that is valid. And, we're faced with so much information out in the world today, especially through the media, that it's easy to just, take things at face value. But what we can rely on is that the gospel is valid and that we can always count on it. And it helps us to be able to work off that foundation, to be able to see truth in other things that we're unsure about, and that we also have the Holy Ghost that helps to verify that the information that we are receiving is valid.
I love that.
That's all I got.
I think that's great.
That's great.
I think it's great. What's great is that we can kind of use the validity of the gospel to test everything else off of.
Very well said.
Okay.
You have a great smile, Ruth.
Oh, thank you. Now
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna be
do. But
smiling.
when you laughed and you're like, oh, I was like, oh, she has a cute smile.
Oh, thank you. Now I'm gonna be smiling all day. Okay. I don't think there's any more topics or anything. So I think I just need to take this link, right, and just paste it right into the document.
Well,
I think she has to upload it.
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I can stop the broadcast